Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on some filet crochet for beginners and making a St. Patrick's Day coaster at the same time. Very exciting. All right, so filet crochet, there are many versions of filet crochet. This is one of them. Okay, this is one where we're putting our double crochets in the spaces. There is another version where you are putting your double crochet in the actual stitches. We'll work on that in about a week's time. But for now, we're going to work on this gorgeous little coaster right here that you guys can use as a St. Patrick's Day coaster as well. Super exciting. All right, so what you will need for your St. Patrick's Day coaster, your gorgeous St. Patrick's Day green colour. Now, the colour I used today was from Bendigo Woolen Mills and still is from Bendigo Woolen Mills. Now, they have a colour called Peppermint. This is an 8 ply, which is a DK weight or a number 3 weight overseas. Yeah, it calls for a 4mm hook. It states right there, and we are using the 4mm hook today. Okay, so you will need about between 8 and 12 grams worth. I didn't use much at all. Great stash busting project. You will need a pair of scissors, any scissors. You will need, you'll definitely need this guy right here. Let's get a close up. Okay, right here. That is a sewing needle or darning needle. You need to weave in 2 ends only, the beginning and the end. And you will need 2 stitch markers as well. Now, if you don't have stitch markers, you can use paper clips, safety pins, a piece of thread. You don't have to have anything fancy for these tutorials, yeah? Nothing fancy at all, but you do need to have some beautiful cotton of your choice. I like to use Bendigo Woolen Mills cotton a lot. I use it for almost everything. When I say almost everything, I mean almost. How gorgeous does that look? It's like looking into little windows, isn't it? I love, love, love. So the other thing I wanted to let you know, guys, is we are working on 3 different St. Patrick's Day projects this year. What? Yes, we are. We're working on this coaster, which you're going to complete today. Very exciting. 2 other projects which I'll talk about on this Wednesday's live. We have 2 lives a week, one at Wednesday 4 p.m. and one Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. This is all Melbourne, Australia time, guys. So just marry that up with the time in your country and meet us there this Wednesday. We're going to talk about the rest of the St. Patrick's Day items. How exciting is that? In the meantime, I'm going to let you get started creating your gorgeous St. Patrick's Day coaster. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, we're going to start off with a slip knot. Just grab the tail end of your yarn, wrap it around your finger once and twice. Give yourself a decent tail. I usually give myself about 4 fingers worth, and even that's too big, yeah. But anyway, you are holding your thread there and you're holding it at the back here. Pass the back loop of your thread halfway over your finger and hold it there. Don't do it so tight. Pass the other one all the way over. Pop your hook in and pull the loop. I just realised how tight that was. There you go. All right, so we are now going to do chains, and what you need to do is 21 chains. And a chain is yarn over your hook and pull it through to the loop on your hook. 1, yarn over, 2, yarn over, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so your job is to do 21 altogether. We've done 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. All right, so we need an odd amount of stitches for this pattern to work. So yarn over your hook, because we are doing a double crochet. That's double crochet in the US terminology or treble in the UK terminology. So now what we're going to do is count these loops, those top loops you see right there. These are the loops you're counting. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and in your 5th loop right here, you are putting your first double crochet. So we'll do it again. That's 1 loop, 2 loops, 3 loops, 4 loops, and 5 loops right there. All right, pop your hook in that 5th loop the very top one right there, pull a loop through. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Just pull up that loop real tall. We're going to pop a stitch marker here, but not in the stitch that we just made. Now, if you don't have a stitch marker, you can use a safety pin, you can use a piece of thread, you can use anything you want, yeah? You don't have to use a fancy stitch marker. Now, that's the stitch that we just made. There's one right before it, which is the top 2 loops, and then there's one before that one. That's where we want to pop our stitch marker in. And it's your top 2 loops of that 3rd stitch. You've got 1, 2, and there's the 3rd one back. And you've got 1 loop on the bottom and 2 loops up the top. And you just close your stitch marker and leave it there, and don't worry about it for now. Yeah, don't worry. Now we're going to continue. Now this is the pattern in this row, very simple. You are chaining 1, skipping 1 loop or 1 chain, and going into the very next chain, or the very next stitch is what we call it. So pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Easy. Chain 1, that's it. Skip 1, a double in the next. Now it's double in US and treble in the UK, yeah? Chain 1 and continue in that pattern all the way across. It's simple, 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 simple. Chain 1 and so on. All right. One more. Oh, there's plenty. Chain 1. Skip and 1. Chain 1, we're almost there. Skip and 1. Now you should have 2 chains left towards the end of the row. If you've got more or less, just check your count, but you should have 2 left. There's 1 now, and there's 1 right there, which is the very last stitch. Pop your hook in, pull a loop through, yarn over 2, yarn over 2. Have a look at what you have right there. All right, it does look a little bit small for a coaster, but again, we are going to be popping a border on it. All right, so let's continue. Okay. All right, from here, you are going to chain 1, 2, and 3, and you're going to pop a stitch marker in the top of that chain. All right, so what you want is the 2 top loops of your chain. That might be a little tricky. Maybe that very top chain, don't do so tight like yours truly does. And yeah, it's in there. All right, then you turn your work. Now you can turn your work any way you like. You can either go this way, because we're going to work along those stitches, or you can turn the way I usually do, which is turning the page in a book. Again, not necessary. Find whatever's comfortable for you. Now you've done your chain 3, you're going to do a double crochet in that space. So way over your chain that you've done in the previous round. So yarn over your hook, right into the space, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. This row and the next row are repeat rows. So chain 1, skip that double crochet or treble, jump into the space right here and double crochet in the US terminology in the space and treble in the UK terminology in the space, chain 1 and just repeat that all the way across the row. And is it not a simple pattern? And look what's happening to my yarn. Don't you love it? Oh, give me 1 second. Here we go. We're under control. So just continue along the side until you get to 2 stitches before or 1 double crochet before, if you will. Okay, right here, chaining 1, and I have this double crochet, and then there's another set here. And the way you tell, that's the chain that we need to go into with our double crochet. So what we're going to do is do our normal chain 1, which I did, yarn over our hook. We're going to pop a double crochet in that space right there, like so. And no chaining here, no chaining at all. We're just going to put a double crochet in that top tight stitch that we're in. Mine's really tight, so I'm going to take my stitch marker out, pop a double crochet in that stitch. If it's awkward, take it out. It won't be that difficult to pop your double crochet in once your stitch marker is out. And if it is, just grab the top loop on one side and then the top loop on the other, if I can get it. It's just way too tight. There we go, we're under control. And do your double crochet. So what you have in this row initially is 2 double crochets at the end of your row, 2 double crochets in the beginning, and all these double crochet chain 1s in the middle. Or in other words, treble chain 1 if you are using UK terminology. But that's pretty much what you have. Now that is our first row repeat. We are going to get on with our second row repeat, which will be a tad different to what we have here. The middle section will be the same, but the ends and the beginnings are always different in each row, okay? Well, in each second row, if you will, yeah? So you're chaining 1, 2, and 3. And you are popping your stitch marker in the top chain of that third stitch if you can. I think I might have split it, but it doesn't matter. We can fix that at the end of the row. Turn your work like you did before, yeah? And here you need to chain another 1, yeah? Yarn over your hook, skip that double crochet and pop a double crochet in the next space. All right, because that chain 1 later, you'll need that space for the next row, okay? So chaining 1, whoops, don't lose your stitch. Chain 1, am I too close? Sorry guys. Chain 1 and just double crochet, chain 1 all the way across your row. Super duper easy. This is the best beginner pattern that you will need to use, or that you can use for filet crochet. Now the original filet crochet is actually a double crochet chain 1, and then you put the double crochet in the stitch, double crochet chain 1, double into the stitch. But we're not going to worry about that one today. We're just going to worry about the one that we are doing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you there. Sorry guys. We will be doing that one as well, but I thought this is a better one to show you in reference to being simple, yeah? All right, so maybe that one would have been better, who knows? Anyway, chain 1, like you normally would, go into your space before the last 2 here, yeah? Chain 1, skipping that double crochet and jumping into the stitch with your stitch marker, double crochet. Just going to pull up a loop to show you what you need to do. Take out this stitch marker now. All right, so what you need to do, and this is what I mean by basic, you just need to repeat those 2 rows over and over again until you get to the size that you want. Now the size that I'm going to do is to repeat these 2 rows 3 more times, so altogether you'll have another 6 rows on top of your 3 that you have here. So you should end up with 9 rows, yeah? What I will do is pop a little timer here, and that will show you how to do these 2 rows over and over and over again. So what you do now is go back to that timer there, repeat those 2 rows, 3 more sets, or 6 rows altogether if you will, and I shall meet you back here once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of our 6th row. Now you knew it was 6 because we were repeating the last 2 rows we did, those 2 rows right there, 3 more times. So the 2 rows once, 2 rows twice, and 2 rows 3 times, all right? So where you should be is here. Normally we would chain up our 3 or 4 or whatever, turn and then come across. We're not going to do that. We are now going to turn our work to the side and work along the sides of your work. Where your work should be, that little tail end that we first started off with, will be on your left hand side. See the letter L? That shows that's your left hand side. All right? It doesn't really matter, not really, but that's pretty much, if you did your count right, that's where you should be. All right, so you know we're not going to turn around and come across here. We're going to work along the sides. So pop your hook in your little thread, if it's not there already, and don't cast off. We're going to chain 1. But as I said, we're going to work along the side now and not along the top. All right. In that space, we're going to put 2 half double crochets. Now a half double crochet, or is it in the US terminology, or is a half treble in the UK terminology, goes like this. Yarn over your hook. Let's get a bit more of a close-up, that's better. And you're popping your hook in the space like normal, pulling a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops like that. Now grab your stitch marker, even though we've got one still in there, grab your other one and pop it in that first half double crochet that you just did. In the same space, you are putting 1 more half double crochet. Yarn over your hook, into the space, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook, yeah? Yarn over your hook. You're going to skip that, looks like a stitch, yeah? Jump into your very next big space and you're going to put 2 half double crochets into the space, half double crochet 1, half double crochet 2. Guess what? That's it. Skip that stitch looking thing, half double 1 into the space, half double 2, all into the big spaces that you come to, yeah? Not these tiny little stitches here, just these very big spaces, yeah? Half double 1 and half double 2, yeah? Let me bring that out so you can see exactly where I'm going into. See the big spaces now? Into the big space with a half 1 and a half 2. Next big space, half 1, half 2. All right, oh, I've made a big mess of my yarn there. Next big space, half 1, half 2. Next one, half 1, half 2. And this is the space where it's really big because we have our big gap there. It was the very first double crochet. Let's get a close-up. All right, in that space, it does look a bit bigger than the rest, but you're still going to do the same. 2 half double crochets. Now I'm going to crochet over my tail. Not necessary. It's just something I do. You will be weaving that in as well. So half double crochet 1, half double crochet 2. Now is that too close? It sure is. Bring it out a bit. Okay, and then you're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. Yarn over your hook, turn your work. Now you're working along the bottom part of your piece and you're doing 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. Then you're going to jump over every double crochet that's there and do 2 half double crochets in the space. 1 and 2. How simple is this row? Yeah, we should call this a round 1 and 2 because we're actually working in the round. We're not doing rows here. Into the next space, 1 and 2. I do hope I'm not going too fast for you all. I do apologise if I am. Just bring that out again and off you go, doing your 1 and 2 until you get to the end of this side here, or until we get to the corner, if you will. 1 and 2. I really, really love the filet stitch. Especially works well when you are working on beautiful summer tops. We're going to be talking about that in a couple of weeks' time, so get excited about that, guys. All right, so let me show you where I am so you know what's going down. There's my last double crochet row there. All right, this is a corner section, and we're going to do the 2 half double crochets in there, 1 and 2. Then we're going to chain 1 and 2 and half double crochet along the side. So you're doing 2 in the same space again, 1 and 2. So whenever you get to a corner, you're doing 2 half doubles, chain 2, 2 half doubles. Yeah, so half double along the sides. Now it's the same as the opposite side, what we did before. We are putting 2 half doubles in every big space you come to. Yeah, not the little tiny space you see right there, but every big space that you come to. 1 and 2. 1 into the next, and 2, and 1 and 2 and 1. I'll slow it down. And 2 and 1 and 2. And when you get to the end there, and almost there, I'll go into my second last space. And while you're catching up, because I realised I was going very fast before, I'll just show you what you've done so far. All right, what you've done is that you started from there, you worked your way all the way down, and if you're anything like me, you did crochet over that tail. If you didn't, doesn't matter, that's okay. You did your half doubles, 2 in each space there. You did your 2 in each space there. All right here, there's a big space right there. All right, you're going to pop your 2 half doubles in that space, 1 and 2. And it's not necessary for you to have a stitch marker here. It was just left in there from before. Yeah, chain 2, 1 and 2, 2 half doubles, because this is a corner in the same space. 1 and 2. Guess what? We're working along the top edge now, and we're doing exactly that. 2 half doubles in every big space that you come to. It's such a basic piece, yeah? So basic, so basic, so basic. All right. Now, next week, I'll get into the other form of filet, where we will actually be doing the filet in the actual stitch rather than the space that you see right here, which can be a little tricky. And then the week after that, we'll work on half doubles and different types of fillets that you come up to as well. Oh, we're almost there. We're almost there. Now, when you get to the end of this side right here, now we'll talk about that in a minute, or end of the row actually, if you think about it. Let's get a close-up. What we did before, we were actually in the corner. So we've already done 2 half double crochets. Yeah, so what we want to do is do another 2 half doubles in the corner, 1 and 2. Then we want to chain 1 and 2 and slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker in it, taking out your stitch marker. All right, let's just do one chain loop for a minute. This is what you have. Now, the reason I'm getting you to do this is because you can decide now whether that's the end of your coaster. Now, I've been drinking my water, so it's empty at the moment, but we're using the Pretty as a Peacock cup. Now, if you wanted to, that could be the end of your border row. That could be the end of that. And you could chain off, and that's the end of that, if you like. Now, I was thinking of maybe doing another round, but a round of single crochets. What will happen with that is that will actually tighten up your piece if you want it tighter. Or you could do another round of half doubles, entirely up to you. So let's try the singles. What we're going to do now is do single crochet round, yep? In the same stitch that you slip stitched into, which is right there, you're going to do your first single crochet. Pop your hook into the same stitch that you are in, and you can see it's the little V's, you see right there. Pull that loop through. You've got 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through both those loops. That is your first single crochet. Right there, pop your stitch marker. In your very next stitch, you're doing a single crochet. Now your stitches are these little V's that you see right here. You weren't working in those before. You're working in them now though. So you're popping your hook in the V, pull your loop through, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both loops. And off you go into every stitch with just that stitch. Be careful, this stitch is kind of like an astringent. It will tighten up your work. So try not to do this round too tightly. So leave your tension a little bit loose, pop your hook in each stitch and single crochet. Don't leave it too loose or it'll be, you know, like, I'll show you what I mean by too loose. If you leave it too loose, it'll look like that. It'll be lifting up and you don't want that, yeah? Oh yeah, the tension is really important in crochet, guys. You need to find your tension. It can take a while to sort tension out, so don't stress too much. It's not going to happen overnight. All right, so single crochet all the way across. I might be going a little fast, so we'll slow that down for you. Single crochet in every stitch. And all this is doing is closing up your work, giving your coaster a tighter look, but also giving it that extra round to make it look a little bigger as well. All right, so once you get towards the end, now let me get a close-up for you so you can see this part. I have 1 stitch left, 1 V there. Then I have these 2 chains. Remember the 2 chain spaces that we made? You're going to do 2 single crochets in there. So 1 and 2. Guess what? Chain 1 and 2. 2 single crochets in the same space. So it's the same as the half doubles from the previous round, but you are using the single crochets instead. Put your work to the front, pop into your V's so you can see them with a single crochet in each stitch all the way across your side. I can see mine's starting to pull a little bit because I'm doing mine a little tight. Be careful not to do them too tight here. But there you go, single all the way across. I will loosen this up a little. Although this side doesn't want, I'm not too worried about it because this is the bottom of our coaster and that was quite loose to begin with, and I do tend to do my first row a little loose on purpose because I have tight tension. Very tight tension. So we are almost at the end of this side as well. I'm going to stop for a moment because I realised I'm going fast. I'm going to go into my very last stitch there and I'll wait for you to catch up. And while you're catching up, to those of you who've already caught up, you'll notice that it actually is not only tightening up your work, but it's straightening your work as well. Because filet can kind of misshape a little bit, but that's because of the looseness of it all. So this will tighten it up and make your filet look a little better. And there you go. I'm singing it. I do apologise. All right, are we ready? We are going to pop into the centre with what? 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. Chain 2. Oh, 1 and 2. And guess what? 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. And then you're jumping. Notice how I just pulled that back? Just to make sure you find your very first single crochet. And off you go doing your single crochets all the way across this side. we're nearly done, guys. We have nearly completed our coaster. We'll have one more side left after this, and then our coaster's done. And then my suggestion would be to wash and block your coaster so it's nice and straight. Almost there. It's got a little bit quiet here, hasn't it, guys? She's not talking. They're saying, what's going down? All right, we're nearly there, nearly there. Here we go. 2 more. Is it 2 more or 3? Let's have a look. Oh, I've got 1 more. All right. So whilst you're catching up, once again, sorry about the big hands there, you'll see it straightening up. All right? Slowly trying to sort itself out. Yeah, it's trying to sort itself out. All right. So get to your space. That's your very last space. Not really, there's 1 more, but anyway. Single 2 in there, or 2 singles in there. Chain 2, or 1 and 2. And another 2 singles in there, or 1 and 2. Remember to make sure you get that very first stitch right there, yeah? And there you go, single. Is this now too close? Yeah, sure is. And single. All the way across the side. You can do many summer projects with filet crochet. Yes, you can make yourself a little lace top to go over your swimwear. You can do so much with it. Yeah. And we might be venturing into that very soon, so keep your eyes peeled. And what have I got? I'm right at the end of this row. You should have your chain 2 space here, and that was our very first stitch that we started with. So right into that chain 2 space, you need to do a corner. So you need to do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. It'll be a little bit tight, yeah. Chain 1 and 2, and then 2 single crochets. And it's normal for it to be a little bit tight. Then you are slip stitching. Oh, I think mine's been split. Slip stitch into the top of that single crochet that you first started with. It's not split, it's just tight. Hopefully yours wasn't as tight. Pull the loop through, pull it through to the loop on your hook, pull up a loop, and you now have one completed coaster. Guess what? You have ends you need to weave in. All right, so you probably notice that that is kind of pulling in a way where you can go into the very first stitch you come to. Now that didn't make sense there because you didn't see what I was talking about, but your work is kind of pulling like that. If you went back, like I usually do go back, but if you went back, you would see that big lump there. You don't want to see that. So what you want to do, and if you look carefully at your stitch itself, it comes with 2 loops on top. You want to grab this thread and pop it in the back loop of that stitch, like that. Just pull it back, and what it'll do is it will kind of straighten up your work. It's not a complete straight edge, you know, won't be completely straight, but it'll almost straighten up your edge, yeah? Or if you weren't happy with that, let's pull it back through so that you can try something else, which is the way I usually do like to try it. Oh, I really pulled that, didn't I? I usually like to just pull my work behind like that and drop it through a stitch, like pick up a stitch from behind there. I like to literally split the stitch at the back like so and pull it back like that. So your knot goes, it kind of moves backwards a little, yeah? So that's what I do, and then I continue down into a stitch Oh, you can go anywhere. You can go this way if you like. But I do like to go into a stitch with a lot of this here. So what I might do here actually is just slip into another thread somewhere, anywhere, making sure you can't see the needle from the front, yeah? I'm just pulling it through like so. Now it will be a little tight, that's normal. If it's anything like mine, it'll be very tight. Then I like to go into, see all these corner stitches that we did? I like to go under those threads there. Just have a look at the front. Can you see it? No. Turn it over and pull it through like so. Just giving it a check. Make sure everything is in place, yeah? What you want to do is go back in the other direction, picking up a different thread from somewhere, like splitting it a bit. You're going back, kind of back into the same direction that you came from, yeah? But make sure you can't see the needle from the front. And that, my dears, is the end of that. You don't need a lot. Cut your thread a little close, not too close, yeah, to your piece. And then if you give it a bit of a stretch, the thread falls into the center there, right? What you need to do, and I'm not going to show you this one because it's already, I'll show you just quickly. We crocheted over it, okay? But if you didn't, you need to sew it back that way once, sew it twice, sew it 3 times. But for those of you who have crocheted over it, you only need to sew it once and then twice, making sure you are skipping into the very next loop. I'm not going to show you how to do that. That's something that you can do on your own after this tutorial is done. So there you go, guys. That is your gorgeous little coaster. Would you like to try it out one last time? Ta-da! There it is. That's the coaster that you can use for your St. Patty's Day. Get excited, guys. So thank you very much for joining us today for our very first St. Patrick's Day project. Don't forget, guys, you need to weave in that little tail right there. You can wash and block your coaster if you like. If you're not sure how to wash and block your projects, I have a link, the very first link you come to in the description box down below, on how to wash and block a granny square, which is very much similar to your square here as well. All right, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all the wonderful things that you guys, well, pretty much already do for me. And all I want to say right now is happy St. Patrick's Day to you. Ciao for now.